Hello. To recap, in part one of this presentation on tailoring XA to fit your company's needs that I presented at the Inpower conference in 2023, that's XA's user group conference that they hold yearly. Um, Part one was about how I replaced a custom distribution system with native XA by using workspaces, presentation schemes, and compound cards. I know it sounds pretty simple, but it's all about designing the user's experience. So first I want to talk about workspace design. So I created workspaces over customer order line item for each separate group. So customer service had theirs, shipping receiving had theirs, and logistics had theirs. So they each had what information they needed that was relevant to their part of the business. So shipping had also the pick list workspace, which was over pick list and pick list item. And all the groups used the shipped items business object under the daily shipments workspace, which gave a drill down of what pick list, what ship code was used for those shipped items, and also would give information on license plates, which is what we use with our third-party scanning software uh, to identify a pallet, skid, rack, whatever. Um, and then the accounting group would use order shipments business object with the invoice processing shipping review workspace with a drill down that showed them the shipped item and then also gave them the surcharge and special charge business objects and list cards on the compound card so that they could write from within that card do any maintenance or displaying options that you normally would do in those business objects. So we had individual user experience with shared data just set up specifically for them. So when you're thinking about doing workspace design, keep in mind of what that particular role can use. So if I have an inventory clerk and they're over warehouse one and warehouse three, I can give them separate workspaces, one for warehouse one items, so it subsets just on those items and relevant information, and one for warehouse three items and that relevant information. And then both those workspaces can be on the same application card, which you can also orient to whoever's in that role. So shipping, I just have shipping business objects on an application card and not, you know, engineering business objects. So it's all about specifying, you know, having a good picture of what this role entails and who's using it to design that user experience, and that'll help smooth over the transition from green screen to PowerLink or NetLink. And you can use these in both. Um, and you can recreate workbenches and make them using compound cards, and they can be used both in NetLink and PowerLink. And if you are in NetLink 10, you get split screen. You do not get that in release 9.2. It works like PowerLink, so you don't get that split screen. So if you haven't went to 10, it's a PTF upgrade. Work on it. It's not that big of a change. You just get the client install for NetLink that is well worth it. Um, so when we come down to creating a workspace, you see here in the picture, I have an area in a yellow box, and that is the presentation area. So that's where you put your title of your workspace, give it an icon, um, and then you also would assign the view subset and sort, which are, their standard view, subset, and sort that that query is what will open every time you open this workspace. Now, yes, you can change them once you're in there, but this just handles how it starts. Um, and it lets you control what the user sees and how they see it. Now, in the green box, we have the navigation area, which is pretty cool. So you can do open action, you can do alternative or control open actions. So you can have those do things specifically. So say I I want my open action, so when someone double clicks or clicks the little box of the arrow over to the left hand side or of NetLink, it will open up that. So let's say I wanted to open customer orders and quotes details. So it opens up the customer order header from the customer order line item. Let's say I'm in inventory warehouses business object, and I want to, when I double click on an item, I want it to come up and do an issue transaction automatically. I can set that up as one of those open actions, or I want it to do change. So there's a lot of cool things you can do there. With the logistics group uh, on the ready to schedule screen, when they double click, it opens up a file called the ship car file, which is where we relate the ship code to the carrier and we keep track of freight details and freight costs and whatnot, or freight quotes. So that was one thing that stemmed off from getting them onto this method of using um, native XA, is that we could still then build out the structure all within the IDF. So when we upgrade, everything moves just fine. Nothing gets lost. And when nothing has to be fixed, no programs have to be fixed. It's all within the IDF and functional within the IDF. So you can do some pretty cool stuff with it. You can also uh, set some specifics for the object itself, like what card you want to open, whatnot. Um, those I don't use as much. And also below the green box is split view, and you can tell it what action to take when you open the split view. You can tell it which card file to use, which card to use when they click the gear to open that split view in NetLink. So the other option on the menu tab on the when you're creating workspace, you can do something else really cool. So on the top line of you'll see an edit over at the right, about midway. That's your toolbar, and you see all your toolbar icons. Well, you click that edit, and you can select what toolbar icons show up there. So say I don't want them to ever have an option to delete. I can take it off here, and I can do the same thing on the display, maintain, and user menus below. You can control what's on there and is not on there, and what they see of related files, as that's usually what shows up in the toolbar, are icons to get over to stuff in your related files. And so you can control their menus. So maybe I just want them to have display menu. I don't want them to have maintain or user menu. So I clear those off, and when they hit it, they get a display menu. You can make the display menu shorter by selecting certain ones as favorites. So maybe when they hit display, I want them to see the first 4 options, and then there's an option to display full menu. And then if they click that, it gives them the full list of what we've assigned here that they can see. So Workspace is a really good way to, I don't want to say control, but really guide the user's experience and make it more interesting, interactive, intuitive to them, so that trying to get people off of something like green screen, where they just have the numbers memorized and they click through life without even paying attention because it's all muscle memory, give them something that gives them more information, that's simple to use, and they don't have to think about so much on how to sort out what the information is. I don't have to go and say, well, every time I open item warehouses, I got to drop down, I got to select this view, I got to select this subset, and select this sort, and then yeah. So there's a lot of steps there that save time. So this has been just a quick discussion on creating workspaces and designing workspaces. Um, they're a really great tool, and the fact that you can, you know, put multiple workspaces on an application card over the same business object makes things so much easier. I mean, a lot of times people don't realize that when they open a workspace and then they open another one, they're actually going to the same place. It's just laid out how they want to see it. And they'll refer to it as, well, my pick screen or my other screen, So it's some interesting stuff. And you know, hopefully someone this is helpful to y'all in thinking about how you're going to come up with these workspaces and really listening to your users. Um, but I thank you for watching. The next video will be on presentation schemes, which just adds a little bit more spice to everyday life. I know it sounds kind of silly to say, but it livens up the screen a little, and you can really use it to accentuate stuff that is, you know, necessary. So I hope you tune in for the next one. Thank you for watching.